Really tired of NBC and the CIA, and you know what's an odd coincidence is God recently brought up on Julie Green Ministries that NBC is crooked CIA. Okay. You know, fake news, fake Jews is what I call them basically, and a lot of them. Fake Jews, synagogue of Satan. Beast system down. So, I'm looking at this Nancy Guthrie thing finally, figuring, and I made a joke the other day saying, I bet NBC knows where she is. I didn't know who Nancy Guthrie is. I didn't know she was in the media and on things, and she has things going on. Her daughters and whatever, they got this NBC, she's NBC. You know, all this stuff, all these things had to be known about this woman, all this stuff. You know, there's a camera footage from the backyard where that camera wasn't smashed, but they couldn't get the information because they said that Nancy didn't have a subscription. All they got to do is subpoena the record from the company. It's probably like the clinching evidence. And this video I just watched said, she must have had a subscription to some only for her backyard, not for the front door, doorbells and cameras up there that got smashed, and did record a little bit of stuff, but the backyard one, it said she didn't have a subscription, and it was like key evidence is what it would be. So you're gonna tell me the cops, the FBI, and the cybersecurity and the murder investigation can't go subpoena the record from the company and say, I'll pay, we're gonna pay, the state's gonna pay for her $10 a month subscription or whatever, and cover it so we can pull this footage because it's for a murder case and we need to subpoena it. It shouldn't be like you have a choice. You kind of have to give it up at that point, company. Whoever you are, you should just come forward with it. But it makes me wonder, with camera companies and securities and false securities of the enemy who was beast system in our country for the last 100 years, infiltrated, you know, all this fake news, Murder Inc., you know, Epstein Island, all these bloods and blood sellers and adrenochromers and bone arm teeth sellers, all this scumbag, derelict, ghoul, fiend, lunatic stuff. People are cheap and disgusting evil. Now, God's a God of abundance, I just want to remind everybody. I'm trying to get all these scumbags and Somalians. They're all Somalians to me. They're all Somalian scam artists to me. Shells, fronts, you know, pedophilic pimping, slavery, pedo-slavery, then cannibalism for pay to murder is a lot of this. New York has a big thing. God said on Julie Green too, he's dismantling this disgusting New York mob. Obviously, there's New York ties. The old fake Jews mob or Jews, I don't know if they're Jews. They're just fake Jews. They're Luciferians. It's the other thing. People say, oh, the Jews, the Jews. There's two groups. Even Jesus said it. He said they call themselves Jews, yet they are fake Jews of the synagogue of Satan. He also said that they do everything to be seen and heard, and they sit at the best seats in the synagogue, and they also pray to be seen on the street corners and like make a show of it. Like a little performance of everything. That's why they're always doing rituals, because they're OCD psychopaths, and what they do doesn't make sense. Oh, no, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, everything's a ritual. That's Satan. Just trying to make you crazy. You know, there's a reason to have common structure and straight lines in the mind and block that out, because it's all crazy lunatic stuff. Anyway, I don't trust NBC. Okay. And hearing that on this other documentary I just watched, NBC even being mentioned, with knowing who would know all this woman's habits and all this stuff. It was all this intricate stuff. And it's like, only like people would have to know some of her like professional like job stuff, you know, things about people's travel plans, and I don't know. I thought, well, you know, people in her working life she might have been, what does she say? I don't know. I'm just asking questions here. I never heard of her till the other day. You know? I thought today to finally pray for her, because I usually ignore singular stories about things like this, because I do find that NBC and all them try to do these distraction ops, even if it was a real crime, even if they didn't set it up and Murder Inc. it, which they might have. I would think so. But they might not have. But I think that that's what they're all doing. You know, you see that stuff. Remember that Kanika Jenkins? That shit was just set up. And look how many people. Everybody practically involved in it. Dozens of people. They were at the hotel. They all look like they knew. Like it's a sick game to these people. Cutting out people's organs, setting them up, bringing them out somewhere, getting them high, killing them, cutting out their organs in a shady hotel. The EMTs were in on it. They knew. They came in with the organ bags to harvest the organs. That other one, KJ, that kid that they stuffed his body full of newspaper later on the second autopsy. They even wanted to find something else out because they first tried to say it was a murder. He had blunt head trauma. It was a murder. He was rolled up in a gym mat. He was beaten. But even the autopsy people and the coroners are sickos, like, because they took his organs too, and then they, like, stuffed him like newspaper. It's like, again, the works of a total lunatic serial killer psychopath. No, like, you don't, like, just, oh, we'll just stuff him. Why? What's that about? Is that normal protocol here? This is all, like, again, you get these CCP fake science people making up rules. Oh, we want to do this. We want to say this. That. This isn't even a real vaccine. This isn't even real vaccine technology. Some of this is weaponized to target people's immune systems and try to shut them off and deactivate their NK cells or diminish all of their bifidobacterium. And you guys want to call this a vaccine? This isn't like a rabies vaccine. This isn't a valid vaccine. This isn't made that way. This is something else. In multiple companies with multiple patents, all something else, something else, something else, something else, all weaponized. I don't enjoy just chaos and targeting and random poison in my body having to break down all this fucking parasitic bullshit and curses and viruses and abominations, but they do enough torture and evil to poor people and animals, and then they try to create some horrible things. They patented cancers. I don't even think God would put people through this shit in nature. Like, the worst thing I could find in nature is like an arsenic patch. You know, don't go in the arsenic patch. You know, a fucking sand pit or something, you know? You know? Don't go provoking the wild animals, you know, they might eat you, you know, there you go. You know? But some of the stuff they've been making in these labs, like, these are things that they're making abominations. It's like satanic horror. I don't need a world of this. I'm not going to hell with you people. You people are going to burn in hell for that shit. I'm not burning in hell for you people. Jesus already died. Judgment. Judgment time. Anyway, yeah, God said it though. He did say NBC is CIA. Like I've been saying before that, the only good CIA I've ever heard of all the years of my life now are the ones that were supposedly stealth bombing the Venezuelan terrorists out in the deserts and shit and setting them up and then bringing them out there and then blowing up all their shit. I would do that too because I say, I don't even want your drugs. Your shit's not worth its salt, you dirty Morte scumbag, pedo pimping, loser, witch bastards. And your witch mothers. Your Hezbollah church of Mortes. In the Hezbollah church, God said, I'm cutting off Hezbollah. He's genociding them out. But in that church, it says in the Bible, from the Old Testament, the mother is the wife. So the mothers fuck the kids. So you see the incest is ingrained in Hezbollah. Well, I find Muertes to be like that too. I also find these Balaamite, Bohemian Grove, and Joe Biden type of people to have that going on too. And I feel that it's also spread into other little things like some of the Catholics with their Luciferian Catholicism. If I was going to join an official church, which I don't and I won't because I'm really with God anyway and I know it no matter what. The thing is, you know, I'm not against these churches, but if they're infiltrated by a bunch of devils and child molesters and slavery lawbreakers, God abolished slavery for a reason. I hate slavery and I'm very happy about that. It's me, nigga. This is your wake-up call. That's right. Yeah, so I'm not letting slavery go on, whether it's black people doing slavery like P. Diddy. You know, I don't say, oh, it's okay, he's just pimping and hoeing, oh, him and Jay-Z over there. Oh, you better try to come away with me like that, no racist, I'll cut your fucking throat. I'll shank you with anything I can find, I don't give a fuck. Look at all this shit here. Any of this, I could stab you to death if I hit you hard enough with any of this shit. Right in the throat. This shit doesn't even have a fucking sharp end, but guess what? That's going in, bitch. I'm serious. I watched horror movies growing up. My whole moral of that story, the teachings, was kill the bad guy. Kill the fucking murderer. Kill the fucking rapist, murderer, fucking lunatic with a fucking knife or a fucking chainsaw. Whatever the fuck. You know, run in between if you have to. Hide, go find a weapon, kill. Kill, kill, kill. That's the moral of that story, is kill the bad guy. Kids should realize that today. Alright. I'm not letting any of this go on. People want to pimp and hoe and all that. Well, you gotta know the difference between pimping and hoeing and slavery. You can't. Kids don't have a choice. Oh, no, that's called fucking slavery. That's called child molestation. That's called rape. Pimping and tricking out kids. That's what all these people. I heard people talk about Gambinos and this and that. You all Mickey Mouse ears fucking mock the children while you guys rape the kids. Like you got Will Smith over there, Oprah, Ellen, Hillary Clinton, and John Podesta with their walnut sauce. They love humiliating children. She's a murderer too. I think he's a murderer too. I think him and his brother got mad at Lynn McCain. Finally, the shit about John Benet Ramsey is starting to come out, but it's already been out for years. And a guy who was in the federal pen, he said he was in there with one of the 100 cops that had a sick necrophilic ritual where they murdered that girl and then brought her to some type of sick necro-satanic cop ritual. And supposedly they all had sex with her corpse. And they even warmed her body back up in the middle of it because it got cold. And apparently the guy said that you don't know what happened to her, but your government does. And he said 50 of those cops were in federal prison, and he was in a federal prison with one, and he even saw his papers. And the guy bragged about it and told him the details. A lot of times what you find is serial killers and serial rapists, psychopathic lunatics, usually, especially when they get caught, but sometimes it's how they get caught, but they brag. They brag about what they did. So he bragged, and he showed him this stuff. Where's the other 50 cops? You know, did they get killed on the down low? Did they get KOA'd and no fucking fingerprints? Did they get not taken in and only 50 of them got put away? I don't know. But I don't even know if that's a whole 100% true, but I feel like it is. Because of all the other stuff I researched about the taser marks on her and how the cops were there for a period of time. And to me, it would look like the family was in a satanic deal with the satanic cops. Satanic families often sell their kids to satanic losers and murderers and assholes. Note what the CIA did with the disposables. According to Robert David Steele, one of their old bosses, he said they sold little tiny children as disposables. It's like gypsies selling vampires babies to eat. Pretty much. And that's why they're all dirty, disgusting gypsies. The CIA... I'm not funding you dirty gypsy nigger fucking pieces of shit. No racist. But I'm not fucking funding this shit. You gotta cut that fucking CIA. If nobody wants to go stealth bomb Venezuela, nobody wants to shut down the biolabs, you guys want to keep fucking mockery porning children in every way you can, you filthy, disgusting people. No. You're all gonna burn in hell. Anyway. You don't repent. You better repent. Put your tail between your legs and repent before you end up burning in hell for eternal punishment. God's meaner than you at that point. God's really nice. But at that time that he finally says, you went away from me too long and you didn't return, you're a piece of shit now, like Satan. Then he's also called God Most Terrible. God Most Terrible. He's more terrible than Satan. The thing is, he's not Satan, and he's righteous and good. So he doesn't want to have to do that to you. He doesn't want to have to put people down there. But he said, I must do what I must do. Somebody's got to at some point. Somebody's got to do it. Thank God he does it. Because I don't want to have to go murdering people and killing people either. Thou shalt not murder. But, military and killing terrorists and serial killers is obviously not murder. That's like a normal fucking thing. That's, like I said, horror movie fucking logic. You kill the bad guy. The murdering rapist lunatics that are trying to do this and that, of course. See, basic common sense is what they had people like, and they had so many murderers and serial killers and psychopaths in the schools, in the churches, in the government, because the CIA was actually running the government and telling all the corrupt, extorted politicians what to do, because they had the sickos working in the government purposely so they could control them and extort them. But the criminals in the CIA that were extorting them are sellout, commie, Satan, pedo, nigger fucking scumbag, hooly-hoo fucking scumbags that are as sleazy as, Nigerian hackers or scammers or whatever, and Somalian daycares. But then they go even worse to selling the children as disposables. So that's what they had going on. And you'll hear about, look at what Ronald Bernard said, the banks, the 9919th Health Circle cult, them and their Hague interruption, and they're eating children, and they work in the banks. You know, whoever's left, you know, I assume God's literally, not assume, like, he told me, like, every enemy of God is going down. Like, everyone's going to be put down that doesn't, you know, turn around on time and repent, basically. You know, and they kind of know, and then the harder, if they fight it, they go down even quicker. They put themselves down, because God can flip all their energy onto them, and just, God's in control of all physics and stuff. Physics doesn't always work the same way. Not, God can override, you know, the laws of life and death. He already has, because he even made those laws. You know, or the devil and his stupid powers and stuff, they're limited. They were limited. They can't do that. They don't. You know, God also saves. They don't save. You know, if a bad person who was like a wicked virus loser Satan ever converted and had a mental breakdown and their mind split against itself, that would be like converting what is Satan into no longer Satan. I mean, Jesus describes that as when Satan splits against himself, or when Satan splits against Satan, his kingdom is destroyed, and what is left is no longer Satan. So, in one Dead Sea Scroll, what is Satan, Lord? It's the mind. So if you can get the mind to break against itself, if it's an evil, satanic mind, if it's corrupt in any way, and has iniquity or corruption in it, and if it breaks against itself and disagrees with itself suddenly, and that's called, like, to me, it's like called spiritual alchemy. It's like the transformation of the mind, like taking what's like Satan, if it's wicked, and then making it into something that's not wicked, and it's no longer Satan, because at that point, it's, I hate every fucking thing about Satan. I want to tear his fucking shit apart. These people sometimes become like whistleblowers and shit, you know, when they realize they have a breakthrough, a breakdown. God says the breakthrough comes, I think it's like right before the breakdown, but the breakthrough, the epiphany, and then, oh shit, you know, because it's like, they might realize, oh, what the fuck have I been doing my whole life? It's like I've been a fucking demonic minion mind slave. Pray for the people to be freed from the powers of darkness, which should be under their feet. And I want to make it that way and keep it that way, but what is that little thing there? But the Lord is made in that way, and Jesus said, I will put Satan under your feet. So, you know, Jesus already had put Satan under his feet. So, that's a good thing. But anyway,